Peace to the planet Earth. It is a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday, man. What more can I say? If you breathe in, you bless. We're glad to have you up here, man. Your time is precious and valuable. So salute to each and every one of you for joining us on the top of the hour here on the Mo Life Show, where we have conversations that matter. We're here. We're here to talk about a different topic today. We're here to talk about something I feel like everybody should listen to. You should never feel like you know it all when it comes to this subject right here. I'm married. I've been married for 3 years. I've known my wife for over 5. I learned something new about us, her, me, life, probably every week, man. So hopefully you guys tune in. I'm gonna go ahead and bring my wonderful co-hostess with the mostest, but the reason I got her off screen right now so I can shout her out as much as I want before she can get up here and say anything. This is a wonderful privilege that I have to shout out my big sister. She had a wonderful event we're on Tuesday. Wonderful event Sunday. And it was all about just powerful, driven, professional, successful, accomplished, beautiful sisters, man, that represented the definition of fighters. And I thought, for me, I don't know, one thing, it was a wonderful thing to see my wife be honored. I got to crown her, all that stuff. But it was another thing for even me just to be in attendance, to feel recharged from it. I got to sit amongst people that are successful. I got to sit amongst the sisters and the brothers that we was out there too. We was supporting, we was walking them to the stage and all that. But overall, it was a great event. So salute to Monique Yesenia for acknowledging others, man. That is, I mean, that's amazing. That's all I can say as I get ready to bring her up here. Mo, what's good? I had to shout you out real quick. Before we brought you up.
I see. Giving thanks. I appreciate all that love. I'm still a little tired from the other night, but it's all good. It's all good.
Peace. So what's going on? What we getting? Let people know what we getting into, who we got up here today, because I got introduced, you know what I'm saying? I seen her. I've been checking out some of the information, but I know you can definitely break it down more before she gets up here, and why it's important that we're about to get in this topic too, because you're a coach as well. You got some.
Yes, I'm definitely in the same line of work. Life coach and relationship coach, prison coach, reentry coach. But one thing I love about this woman, who was crowned Sunday as relationship coach of the year, is that she's raw. She tells it like it is. She's big on Black love. And I can go on and on about her. She's absolutely beautiful inside and out. She's very knowledgeable, very smart, very, very smart. And I love that she challenges couples so they can be better and do better and stay like this. It's important to stay like this. So that's what she's about. And I absolutely love the beautiful, beautiful Miss Alasha Bennett.
Let's bring her up. Coach of the year.
Hey. Hey. What's going on, beautiful Black people?
How you doing, gorgeous?
I am well. Thank you so much for that introduction. You're not going to get me to cry twice. I already did that Sunday. So beautiful event, by the way. Thank you so much for honoring me and seeing me as a woman, as a Black woman, as family, as a coach, just thank you for seeing me. Yeah, this is wonderful. I can't wait. Like, I'm excited.
Are you ready for the audience? Are you ready for these questions? Are you ready to? I know you're ready. I
am. I am
already. Life. Do you want to start? Because I know some of the brothers have some zillion questions for you. Yeah, and I got a little 3 over here. And look, whatever the brothers got to ask, let them ask. That's the way I feel, because that doesn't happen too much. They pretty much try and just go with the flow with their woman or whatever. But if they have questions, let's get it in. Maybe the women will have more of a better understanding of the man sometimes. Because sometimes women can be a little off, but the not understanding.
It goes both ways, but I agree. I think a lot of times us as men, we don't speak up. We take, we kind of we allow things that might bother us. And so yeah, I got questions actually pertaining to something in that realm. I might sneak a question in there too. I ain't got nothing crazy I want to ask though. But I ain't never got. I want to sit down and ask me a question, but I'm gonna go straight in. Do you want like a serious one off top, or you want to? I mean, because it don't matter.
Throw it out there.
You coach of the year, so I know it don't matter. I'm gonna go straight into this one. Off top, big issue in 2023. I'm gonna paraphrase. Y'all email me these. I'm gonna paraphrase some of these questions, but it's your questions. And I'm not gonna shout out anybody's names because a bunch of y'all said please don't put names, and that makes sense. Question number 1. My significant other and I have both been promiscuous. Well, they put promiscuous, but I'm assuming they've been outside of the relationship, but they're dedicated now. How are some real ways that we can make it work? Trust continues to be an ongoing issue.
And this is a no judgment zone.
Judgment free all day.
No judgment zone.
And it's nobody's name's gonna get put out there, or if you don't want to put it in the chat, you can email us and maybe I can forward it or whatever. But yeah, it's all judgment free. You don't have to. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
that was.
So I would take it back to the basics. First of all, I want to commend you for being together, staying together, sticking that out, saying, you know what, we made some mistakes in the past, but our relationship is bigger than those things that we've done. Okay. So I want to commend them for that. The thing is, going back to the basics, what is it that you want from the relationship? And how is your relationship going to make the people around you in the community better? So a lot of times people don't really understand what marriage is. So I'll say it really quickly so that we all understand it from my viewpoint, whether or not you agree with it or not, but from my viewpoint. So I don't look at it as a marriage. I look at it as a union. Okay. And a union has 3 parts to it. A union is the marriage, which is the contract, the financial part of it, all of the money and those types of things, right? It's your agreement that you have with one another. The relationship, which is the second part, is the actual emotions and the feelings and the emotional intelligence and those types of things is how you grow and mature mentally. Okay. And then you have the third part, which is the spirituality of the union. That goes to your moral code, that goes to, those types of things, how you, whether you're in religion or what type of spiritual path that you decide to go on as a couple, right? So there's 3 parts to that union, and we only focus on one or the other. Spirituality is usually the last thing. We might go to church on Sunday, but it's usually the last thing we focus on. We're more concerned about either the marriage, because whatever money issues we're having, they're overpowering the relationship. Or we're focusing only on the relationship. They're cheating. Something's happening, right? And it's emotional. And so because we don't balance, we have a hard time with putting things into perspective. Mm-hmm. We use all of our emotion instead of thinking logically about what's our next step. And so that's why I always ask couples when they come to me for premarital, coaching, I ask them, well, what is it that you're trying to do with your marriage? What's the purpose of it? Why are you trying to be together? Because if it's not to I ask that to singles as well. And if singles say, well, I just want to be loved, or I want to love someone, I say, you're not ready to get married. Because it's so much more than I want to be loved. You can get a puppy.
But can you agree, Alasha, like when people are answering like that, and I totally agree, they're feeling like their biological clock is ticking, or they're trying to fill a void?
It could be a myriad of things. It could be their biological clock is ticking. It could be they're just tired of being single. It could be they just want to be sexually involved with someone, but they don't want to be shamed. So if they're with someone and that only partner, then at least it won't look so bad. It's so many reasons why people want to be coupled, right?
This is true. This is true. That was a good one. That definitely was a good one.
So to answer the question, what I would say is go back to the foundation of why you want to be in a relationship. Really explore that as a couple. What are we doing? What are we trying to build? What are we trying to build financially? What are we trying to build personally within ourselves that we understand our partner can help us get there? So really just getting down to the foundation of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was
what's your identity?
Hmm?
I was saying, what's your identity as a couple? Like,
all right.
Right.
You know, yeah. Be with somebody, or for people like me to talk like me, be with somebody that wants to do things in life like you. Don't be with nobody that man. To my brothers, let me talk real quick. I'm gonna get back out the way. I gotta say this to my brothers because it's been coming up, man. We gotta stop getting into relationships. This is my ladies too. Stop getting into relationships with people you feel like you gotta save, or you got, stop doing that. Get with people that are focused and are driven. They got their own vision and all that. Okay, I'm back out the way. All right.
No, that was rejected and said that. That is important.
Yeah. Because either they're trying to save them or they're trying to change them into the person that they want them to be. Yeah.
We're trying to control. Right.
Absolutely. So
and I say, as a woman in being in this field, and a lot of women like to control. A lot of times it's us. They want to control and try and fix.
Yeah. I think men try to control too. Just looks different. So even we try to control our partners on a daily basis. We tell them they can't have, sex with somebody else. We tell them they can't be friends with somebody. We tell them they can't go this place and can't. We do it all day, every day, right? Instead of saying, be the person that you're going to be, right? And then there's certain, different things that we would like to see within the relationship, or different agreements we have with one another. But I still can't make you do anything. Right. I can't stop you from doing something.
Yeah. Right. You want to shoot your next question? Guys,
I got them for days. Man, this individual says, every time we get into disagreements, my significant other doesn't hear me. I feel like she's more focused on what she feels rather than what I'm focused on, which is what's going on. What are some tips when it comes to communication or diffusing an argument?
Yeah. So first we have to be able to take the emotion. Monique, if I start yelling at you, how are you going to receive that? Are you going to hear what I'm saying, or are you going to be defensive?
I'm going to be shocked and then defensive. Yeah.
So you're not going to hear anything that I'm actually saying, because I'm directing all of my emotion at you. Right. What happens is you'll direct your emotion back at me. And then the issue, we never really get to the issue, right? We're just yelling at each other, right? And or you're walking away, or somebody's upset, but we're not really getting down to the issue. So it's very important for couples to figure out a plan of how they're going to communicate. Okay, when is she more, what's this word? Success, you know that word. To hearing you, right? Is it after dinner? Is it pillow talk? Is it just like, when is a good time for you all to sit down and really talk about things? Talk about one thing at a time. You might have 5 issues that you've written down. Talk about the one and stay on topic, right? Let's focus on this particular issue. Have examples of that issue. So don't just say you do this all the time. Have an example of it, right? and then use I statement. I feel like when you do X, Y, and Z, it makes me feel, it causes me to feel this way. Okay. Or I feel that we don't talk anymore. I feel that gets the person off the defensive, and it allows them to hear you. Right. And that goes both ways. So being able to get them at a time when they're going to hear you, focusing on one issue at a time, really listening, and not using so much emotion. So if someone is coming to you and they're upset, kind of take a step back and say, okay, they're upset, but I don't have to take on that emotion. I don't have to give it back to them.
Right.
I can let them say what they need to say and then ask questions.
Right, because it'll ultimately become very draining, and then resentment kicks in, and you don't want to break up for real. So just learning how to communicate. A lot of couples, let me not say some couples, don't know how to communicate. And I will say this: we're all Black, and we came from households with a lot of yelling.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of yelling. And you can't hear somebody. You're not listening to understand. You're listening just to reply back. Because as you stated, like, people start getting on the defense. And learning how to communicate. A lot of people don't know how to communicate, especially like, some brothers and sisters I grew up with back in Brooklyn in the hood and stuff like that, because we were never taught. Right. So for me, I was that person. And then when I chose to do celibacy for 7 years and focusing on myself for 7 years, not dating, not doing anything for 7 years, no TV, I just read, no nothing. I just was in self. And I knew I had to heal and grow and stuff like that. Even I was like, I never really was ready for a relationship until that 7 years for me. For me, that's when it happened. And then when I got into a relationship and stuff like that, and God rest Wayne's soul, we never had an argument. Well, we had one, like right before he died, but we knew how to communicate. So communication, what I'm saying, communication is such a big deal, sis. It is. So can you give us a couple of tips on, like, sometimes some of us just will go from 0 to 100 real quick. Yeah. How would you bring your significant other down?
Yeah.
Just to listen, because sometimes people will just walk off. And just be like, whatever to all of this BS, and come back still mad. So do you have a few tips where we can just in a moment, you can just bring your better half down?
Yes. So one thing is not to take it personally, right? We already discussed that. I can't yell at you and you yell back at me, and then we think we're going to solve something, right? So not taking it personally. But that couple really does need some assistance in how to communicate with one another, because it's not right for you to yell at your partner and think that they're supposed to respond the way that you want them to respond. Like you said, we come from a culture that yells. We come from a culture that is not being heard, and so we feel we need to yell. So a lot of times people who yell, they feel misunderstood. They feel unheard, right? And I can take that personally. Yell at my kids, right? For a long time, I used to yell at my kids because it's like, you're not hearing me. So I'm saying it 3 times and it's still not getting into you, right? If I say it louder, maybe you'll hear what I'm saying, right? And so we carry that. One of the things you will notice is that how you do one thing is how you do everything. So when you start, if you notice that within yourself, you're doing it somewhere else, or it's coming from somewhere else. So learning how to understand, okay, I'm doing this. Why am I doing this? And where is it coming from? Just really being able to stop yourself. That's what I love about relationships. You get an opportunity to understand yourself if you truly want to, right? And you have a safe space to do that with a partner. But yeah, definitely there needs to be some retraining there of how to communicate. But in the moment, sometimes you do have to walk away because you have to teach someone how to treat you.
Down, right.
Yeah, you have to teach someone how to treat you. So if you're taking all of that, then they're going to think that they can continue to do that. So you have to do something different. So if that means you have to walk away, then you just have to walk away from that situation. And then when they're feeling a little bit better, then you can talk about it. If they start yelling again, walk away because you're teaching them how to treat you in that sense. And they say, why you keep walking away? Well, you keep yelling. And every time you yell, I'm going to walk away. So now would you like to have a conversation with me? Or do you want to yell at me? Right? Teaching
Right.
people how to treat you. Right?
You
But not taking it personal either is a big part of that.
Yes. Yes, because people take everything personal. So yes, absolutely.
So quick story. The other night, Bay and I were on the phone and we were having a discussion. It was something that we really needed to talk about. And calm and everything like that. But I had to go to someone's house and I was in the elevator and the phone cut off. So I did what I had to do at the person's house, and then it was only like 5 minutes. And I came back downstairs and I called him, and he was like, "Man, like I was messed up for a second." I had to gather myself because he thought I hung up on him. And he was like, "No, I had to calm myself down. Like, that's not her behavior. That's not what she would do. So why am I going to that?" But he was emotionally charged from the conversation. And so that's how he took that, right? He took that as me doing that. And he was like, "Man, I had to calm myself down. I'm good now."
Right,
But
right. The timing was right.
Right. And he said, "I really had to be like, wait a minute, that's not right." Right. So being able to catch yourself in that moment, it's not easy to do. It's something that it's a learned skill, but you have to start learning and doing it, right? In order for it to be muscle memory, right?
Yeah, those emotions will supersede your intelligence sometimes, and everything will go out the door.
Out
When
the window.
you're in the heat of the moment, and people actually will hold on to things like that, and then it'll manifest. And well, remember when you did, and remember when you said, and we don't want arguments like that. We don't want somebody throwing something in our face that happened 6 months ago and you still holding on to it. That's an issue in itself. Couples do that as well. So I have a question for you. Does anybody believe in courting anymore?
What is courting?
So courting is dating with a purpose, dating to get married, dating to get engaged. The main focus should be ultimately maybe not even if you don't want to do the marriage thing, that's fine. But what are we doing here? What are we really doing here? Are we just going out to Applebee's every Friday? Are we just and then having sex after? Like, what are we doing here? Does courting just even exist anymore?
Well, you got to take it back to what courting is or where it came from, right? And so courting was definitely, back in the day. We'll just say back in the day, and there was a specific cause. You were courting to get married. You were showing that person that that this is what they could expect, or that you were interested in them, and you narrowed it down to one person and you focused on that person. And it's very traditional and very it was watched. So if you're courting someone, you don't get to go out late night with them, and you don't get to it's evolved from then. Courting used to be you sit in a living room and you had others watching you, whether it was your parents.
Absolutely, yeah. I know times has changed, but I just
so it's definitely evolved. So what I would say is understand what type of relationship you want to be in before you even start dating. Am I dating for fun right now because I'm, just got out of a relationship or a divorce, or, maybe I'm in school, maybe I'm taking care of a sick parent, and I just want to date to have fun right now. Okay. And I'm not really
It's
looking
okay to be open just like that, correct?
just like that. And then you might be dating for something for serious, whether it's a long-term relationship or whether you want to get married with that person, but you need to know that first. So it's not, I know a lot of times people get with people and then they'll be like, oh yeah, I can see myself marrying them like down the line, or I can see myself getting married one day. No. What is it that you want before you start, as you would say, courting someone, right? Before you start looking to spend time with somebody, what is it that you want? If they're not it, that's okay. You can put them in a certain category and say, no, what, they're not marriage material, but you need to let them know what they are. Oh no, we just have fun. We're just having fun.
And the next question is for you, Life, and Alasha. Does a man know that they're going to marry a woman within the first 6 months?
You want me to answer that first, or
I want you to answer it first.
I knew my wife was going to be my wife within 20 minutes.
Oh, I know that's right.
Yeah, she had asked me. Yeah, she had asked me in the middle of the conversation. Two things. One, she straightened me. First, she challenged me immediately. She said, "What's your name?" I said, "Life." She said, "No, what's your mother call you?" And towards the middle, she just asked if she could pray for me. I said, "That's my wife." Never knew that. Never felt that anybody else. Had plenty of opportunities. Just, I don't know. For me, and she's my wife. That's all I can tell you, personal experience. Like, once that prayer and that, I was like, oh yeah, I got the.
You know what you know.
Yeah.
What do you feel, Alasha?
So two things with that, right? One thing is that I think happens, and with life as well. Even if you didn't have it written down, you knew the type of woman you were looking for. And when she presented herself to you and you knew that it was genuine, or you felt that it was genuine, you were like, oh yeah, there's no contest. Like, this is what I've been looking for. Right. And the other thing is, you were ready. You were ready to take on a wife, or you were ready to be someone's husband, or you were ready to be in a relationship. And I think that when people get in relationships like that, where they're like love at first sight, or within 2 months we were married, or whatever the case may be, is because they were ready.
Yeah. And can I say this real quick? When I used to hear people say that, this is just me. I thought they was corny. I thought they was making up stories because they wanted to sound fly with their friend. And then it happened. But you said it. I had an idea of the woman I was like, man, if I ever find this, whatever my thought was at the time, and yeah, it presented. And I was working the whole time to be ready, because I said I want to go miss my chance. So,
man, you said something right there. Did he say something right there?
Yeah. I wanted to be as ready as possible, because I was just watching. Nothing, but they'll speak to it too. I was just watching what a lot of people I know went through, and I was like, I have a chance. I have a choice. I don't have kids. I have this. I know me now. I know, and I took something that might have been a disadvantage, turned into an advantage. But yeah, I was, because I wanted to bring something to the table too. Now, like, I'm not gonna be on your couch. We ain't gonna do all that. I pay bills and I get up every morning. And so
I knew that what 9-10 years ago. You and Freddie, I was like, they are amazing men, and I knew y'all was gonna make amazing husbands. I wish I
was with his wife too. Yeah, we always. That's like my. I'm not the. I gotta get this back to you, but my married fellas, get you a married wingman. Get you somebody that's got a wife that they love and they're committed to. All right, I'm gonna be quiet so y'all can chop it up. I'm
Oh no, look, it's a whole discussion over here. No,
give me you can give me another one of your guys' questions. Keep the men questions coming for us. Seriously.
Okay. This one is, I don't know. I think this is from somebody that's younger, but I don't know. Rules on friends of the opposite sex, or rules on having friends of the opposite sex when you're in a relationship.
that goes back to that control thing. We're always trying to control our partner.
Rules.
That has a lot to do with trust. Do you not trust your partner to be in the vicinity of someone else and nothing is happening?
Or does he not trust himself?
Huh?
Is that
not trust himself?
Yeah, either it's a trust issue. Either way, it's a trust issue. Yeah.
I don't know. The whole, would you guys consider if somebody says that rules, is that like, are we gonna put control into that word with the rules? I'm seriously asking.
What are rules?
Yeah,
what are rules?
I mean, I know how I look at it. Like, well, you're my homegirl, Mo. We talk all the time. My wife with it, so we different. Me and my wife different. She take trips over here. I go over here, and she get mad because I don't call her while she on her trip. So we just different. But to my brothers, I'm gonna speak to the men. I feel like I don't know how he's asking this, but I think a lot of times it's trust issues, whether because of the way we moved in the past or things we see, or maybe our own thoughts that we get threatened when our significant others have a male friend. Me, I don't know. I guess to anybody that answers this question, I would just say get to know these people. If they're your significant other, you should be trying to know the people that she cares about. And I know like my wife's got friends that been in her life since she was 6 or 7. So what do I look coming in here and hey man? So just get to know the people. That's my tidbit. And 9 times out of 10, if your significant other is good people and they've been rocking for that long, then they're probably good people too. And if they're not, I don't know. You can have a conversation, but that's really all I got. Really.
Yeah.
Do you think it should be rules, Alasha, in a relationship, so to speak? And I'm using that because the brother or sister actually, that's what they're emphasizing on. Like rules like should they be sharing their locations? Their phones? Should they be should he say, I really don't like this homegirl, but go ahead and I want you to rock with this homegirl? Because I have friends, their husbands, everybody's husbands love me. Mo is going? Oh, no, I don't care if you go. I don't care if you go because Mo is going. But then what are like the rules? Like your day ones, if he's not feeling your day one, like are we cutting our day one off? Are we falling back from your day one? You know what I'm saying? Because these things really happen in relationships. They really do happen. I know for me, any man that I ever will deal with, I'm not dealing with anybody. I'm not seeing anybody. I'm not dating anybody. But they have to understand what I do. Now, don't get it twisted because these brothers be knocking down the door. Okay? But you have to understand what I do. Because I deal with a lot of men.
Mm-hmm.
I deal with a lot of men. Coming out of prison, and I make sure I make my presence known to their wives because that's very important to me. I don't want anybody to think anything is happening or going on because women get jealous. So I make myself available to the wives. Girl, we're gonna exchange phone numbers. I'm gonna say, hey, what's up? And check on you. I don't want anybody thinking anything. I don't mess with my students. You know what I'm saying? I don't do any of that. So it's just like, I don't know, like this whole thing of the rules. And if I know me, I get turned off with a slight bit of jealousy because that's a red flag for me. And this is my life and my path in life. I have to deal with the brothers and sisters coming home. I have to get out my bed 2, 3 in the morning when I get a suicide call. I have to do these things. And if you don't, somebody was like, would you choose that life over you and I? And it was a good question, like over you and I. And I'm like, if you can't understand what I'm doing, I guess I'm going to have to say yes.
So why
Because
would you choose?
right. Because if somebody is calling me somebody's wife is calling me 2, 3 in the morning, and this happens to me all the time.
And that's your purpose. You walking in your well, at least one of your purposes. You shouldn't want to stop.
Right. I don't expect you to get upset and you getting out your bed, you tripping and this. No, I'm trying to diffuse the situation. I'm trying to bring the brother down, and I don't want the cops to be called because if he's acting a certain way, they can kill him. I can't have that on my hands. So if you don't understand that, then no, we can't rock. We just can't rock. Yeah. But I'm sorry, but sis, like, people should do away with rules.
So if you tell the toddler not to touch the stove, what are they trying to do? They're trying to touch the stove because you told them not to. We're human beings. They're curious. We're human beings, and this is what we do. I don't care what age you are. We do the things that someone tells us that we can't do. It then becomes a shiny thing that we want to do. Right? So, yeah. But I know some people don't look at it as control, but it is. You're trying to control the actions of someone else. So if you put rules into place, you're trying to say, no, you can't do that because it makes me feel some type of way. So like you said, if you had a friend for years and your spouse is like, I don't want you to be friends with that person. Okay, well, why don't you want me to be friends with that person? There has to be some reasoning behind that, and not just, I don't want you to be friends with that person. Mm-hmm. Did they hit on you? Did they, like, do you always get in trouble when you're with them? What's happening? Right? So a great discussion that Bay and I had, one of the very first discussions we had was, what happens if we love our mothers? What happens if we live together and say, for instance, my mother is being very rude to you and you don't want her in the house? How do we work that? Right? And
hey, I've been through something like that, but it ain't like that, y'all. I ain't put it all up,
but one of the reasons why we're actually together today is because your home is your sanctuary. So who you invite into your home has an effect on the home itself. So you can't say, oh no, this person gets to come in here and disrupt my atmosphere, right? Mm-hmm. And being able to understand that. So that person can't come there. I'm not going to keep you from visiting that person just because I have an issue with that person, right? So that goes into control. My space is my space. So if you have if your spouse has a friend and you don't want to be involved with that friend, they can't come to the function. I don't really want to go out with him and her wife, as a couple, but I can't stop you from going out with your friend. That's right. Control.
It is control. Right.
Right. But that whole thing is a trust issue of opposite sex. You should be able to go visit your friends, and you should be able to openly talk about your friendship. They should be able to meet them and all that kind of stuff. And if they're secret, that's one thing. Those are red flags, right?
A lot of people be bringing their previous baggage into their current relationship as well, and that is just a disaster waiting to happen. Like, you can't do that, or some little thing reminds you of that person or whatever, and you're just setting yourself up for failure, honestly.
Now should there be some concern before? That's something that y'all have to talk about. How secure do you feel in, that's not going to happen again? How does that person feel about that person, right? Negotiation, like creating boundaries, those types of things, but making rules, I think we kind of get into that control area when we get there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, shoot one more. Shoot another one, Life. I got
Man,
hit me up with a question as well. But go ahead.
what are some if we're having, well, it's if we're having problems, but maybe we just want to strengthen our relationship, what are some alternatives to therapy? Which I think you can definitely answer that. But maybe, I guess they're saying if they don't want to go to therapy or their significant other, is there other things like coaching or, I don't know, classes or whatever? So yeah.
Well, first thing I would ask is what's wrong with therapy? Is it because they don't have insurance or they don't have the money, or just, I would ask that question first, because therapy is not a bad thing, right? I think we a lot of us need some therapy. A lot of us need
probably just the culture, because a lot of Black men don't want to go to a therapist or a psychiatrist.
Right. And I can't assume if this is a man or a woman or the reason behind it. That's why I said, is it because you don't have insurance or the money, or why is it that you don't want to go to therapy? Because therapy is a great thing. But yeah, you can do coaching. You can do different classes like communication classes with your spouse. Definitely doing more intimate date nights. And I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about actually going out, being with one another, putting your phone down, doing an activity that's going to cause you to reconnect, right? Taking a trip together, talking. A lot of times, if you get those cards, it's called the and Bay and I did these in the beginning of our relationship, but they have levels of cards, whether you're single or whether, you've been a couple for a while. Do some of those cards. Just have them on your desk, and maybe that's your pillow talk at night. You just grab a card out the deck and then you both answer the question, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But start being
a whole bunch of those in here too, and it does help. It's very healthy.
Yeah. But start being more intimate with one another. I think we stay on the surface a lot in our relationships, and we don't dig. And you could be 10 years in and still not know the person that you're sleeping next to.
You got that right. And you don't know somebody until you actually live with them. And sometimes you don't know them. So and that's the truth of it. I do have a question. Do you explain up front a friendship with a person who's incarcerated to a potential someone you're dating?
I don't think I understand the question. Are they dating someone incarcerated?
You have a friend who's incarcerated. I'm pretty sure maybe some feelings is, I don't know if feelings is going on or not. And they're actually dating someone on the outside, but you're still connected with them, the person on the inside, and they clearly have some type of feelings. The person that you're dating on the outside, do you explain that friendship to that person that you're dating on the outside about the person that's incarcerated? Let me answer that.
Okay. So what I would say is, in all relationships, be open. If you love the person, if you care about them, especially if you're intimate with that person, you want to be very upfront about how you're feeling. We should be able to talk about these things. If there's somebody in your life, or if you've come upon somebody, you should be able to come to your spouse and be like, man, I think I'm starting to develop feelings for this person. Or, I really am attracted to this person. And y'all can talk through that. People are afraid of that because they fear that the person is going to leave them.
The rejection.
They're afraid of that. But if we talk about it, we might be able to get down to, okay, well, why are you attracted to this person?
Right.
Well, what they, they got the flirty hair, and they just, they're a little bit more feminine, and, those types of things. And then maybe you can be able to accommodate those things for that person, that they're, feeling a little bit different. When we're in a relationship with someone, we get comfortable. And the things that we did before, we don't do anymore, right? The things that we found attractive about that person, if they're no longer there, then we start to be unattracted.
I had to.
Relationship is work. Friendships are work. Just homegirl or homegirl, that can be work sometimes. Because we're different people, but a relationship, a marriage, it's work. It is work that you have. It's something that you have to work at all of the time.
It is.
That whole comfortable says being too comfortable in everything. But to that question, to that person as well, it seems like your heart is there with the person incarcerated. And the only thing that's holding you back is prison, those walls. And so now you probably want to feel some void of dating and intimacy and just being with a man or a woman or whatever. And all of those feelings are normal. They're all normal. But as the expert has said, you have to be honest and you have to have these conversations, because clearly sometimes the heart wants what the heart wants.
And especially if they're writing to one another, that's enticing. You writing a love letter to somebody, or you're writing your feelings to them, and that's what we've been taught. That's romantic. That's that fairy tale. That's all of those things, right? But if that person leaves their current person, when that person comes out, right, and they're with that person, they're still gonna have to do work. Because that's a whole other thing that you're dealing with. The person is coming out. You have to deal with that and all the emotions and the feelings that go along with that, the finances that go along with that. It's a whole thing.
I mean, it's work. And, dealing with somebody coming home out of prison, whether you're a male or female, it is a lot of work. I see all the time. I became a certified relationship coach. Life will tell you, because I seen the need. And so then I started doing seminars inside the prisons, because sometimes the women don't get it. They just don't get it. And I tell women all the time, if you are not married, not the women, if the brothers all the time, if you have not married this woman, and especially if you was locked up at 15, 16, 17 years old, I already know what's going to happen.
You don't know. Hey, I'll just speak from me coming home.
You don't
know. Yeah, you don't know until you come home. For me, that's why I keep saying, y'all, if you're serious about your relationship, just whether you're free, incarcerated, coming home out here, get with other people that are committed to their relationship. That's all I can say, man. You need a good wing partner, because you will get tested, especially us as men. I live in Atlanta. I talk to my wife all the time. We got that type. Hey, man, people holler at her, they holler at me. You hit it on the head. Yeah, I like the fact we can communicate about stuff like that and laugh about it. So
right, and it is and these women, when the brothers come home, they be lined. You got to see my inbox if I'm taking a picture with them, or who's that, or even Sunday they was asking who is that on the stage and who is that. And I'm just like, Lord have mercy. But it's just, I don't know. It's just a tough situation with incarceration and everything. But let's move on. I know we winding down the time. What's the next question you got, Chris?
We got time for one more.
What? Sound like you have a hard decision.
No, I got multiple questions, and we got time for like one more. But
And read a little. You're right. What you just stated. Go ahead, bro.
I guess I'll go with this one. We got any questions we didn't get to? Maybe we'll do a part 2. I don't know.
Yeah,
I would love to do a part 2.
We got about 30 more questions for you.
Yeah. Right.
My pad and
oh my goodness.
Me up, and I'm here on my phone. I'm looking here. I'm getting texts. I'm getting so we're gonna have to do a part 2.
I hope I'm answering them for them. I hope I'm giving them some type of.
Oh, you're on fire.
Evidently, y'all, because they keep coming with more. But I think this is I'll go with this one. Me and my significant other have been in a rough patch for months. We love each other, but how can we tell if it's time to finally let go?
Mm.
To me, it sounds like they're preparing for the end. So I don't know, but maybe he's saying they don't necessarily want to let go, but they've just been in that space.
Yeah. So what's the rough patch? And then going back to what's the foundation? What are you trying to build together?
Mhm.
And is the building important enough for you to figure out what the issue is within the relationship? So what's the actual issue? Getting down to it, right? Is it finances? Is it trust? Is it, communication? What's the actual issue? And then getting down to the bottom of that. And then saying, okay, and it's sometimes you get down to the bottom of it and you say, you know what, this is not going to work for us. And it may not, but you have to go through those layers and figure out what that is. Don't just give up on it because it's hard right now. I will tell you this: you will not get to a 30-year marriage without having some years of roughness. Not months, not days, years of roughness. Right?
It's the truth.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
So the first 3 years is the honeymoon. You have it's like up to 3 years, depending on when you knew your partner. But it's like the first 3 years is the honeymoon. Then after that, up to year 8 is rough because you get into learn the person, right?
Yeah.
Once you get to 30, it's smooth sailing. You'll see a lot of couples at 30, they're getting a divorce. When at 30, it should be like smooth sailing now. Y'all know each other, y'all been together this long. Somebody need to go sit down. Like
yeah.
yeah, we'll figure it out later, but you need to sit down, right? So it just and it depends on how that couple has been relating to each other throughout their marriage. Were they just going along to get along? Were they focusing more on the kids and they didn't focus on their relationship? Never stop dating your partner ever.
Yeah, no
Oh,
question.
I totally agree. I totally agree. And everyone is just different. Everyone is different, and people have to accept that in a relationship as well. I think people bump heads with that. Um, I feel like I don't know. I feel like so much can be diffused and things don't have to get out of control to the point you start resenting one another. If you don't know how to communicate, say that. We can help you.
Mhm.
Because I didn't know how to communicate at one time. My reaction all the time was F this and ready to pop off. But how do you get through life? Like, you don't want to get through life like that. In a relationship, in owning a business, in your profession, in friendships or anything, because it's so toxic. And I be wondering, like, if people in relationships recognize themselves in the relationship when their better half is pointing things out to them. And not the whole, I'm not saying, Alasha, you did this and we were together. You did this and you did it. Not that. It's just like, Alasha, like, I'm telling you, it's irritating me. Like, every time you cooking in the kitchen, you're destroying it. Please. I don't know if it's a pet peeve or whatever. Just please clean it up. I just cleaned the kitchen and I come in here and it's destroyed. So why can't you do your half of just washing your pan and your 3 dishes? Why is that so difficult for you? And it could necessarily mean that they came from a place where the house was destroyed all of the time and their mothers didn't clean. And they carry that onto the relationship. So then my question to you, Alasha, is should you have some sense of understanding of that? Or this is a grown man now. Why he should know to wash his 3 plates in his pan.
So we always have to communicate because, like you said, he may have come from a household that mom did everything, right? Especially if he came right from mom to you. You know what I'm saying?
They leave their mother and then they come to us.
All right. So if they did that, or if they always had a girlfriend or they had a wife before you or whatever the case may be, and that person always did those things and didn't require them to do any of that, then that's what they're going off of. Remember, I said earlier, you have to teach people how to treat you. So you have to be able to say that to them. This is and agree to it. It has to be effective communication. You can tell someone anything, but if they're not receiving it and they're not doing what you're asking them to do, that wasn't effective communication. So now we have to have another conversation about why is it that cannot do what I'm asking you to do in love, right? This is how I receive love, and you're not giving me love the way that I need to see it or receive it. So we need to talk about that. Why do you feel like, or I need this? Your partner has been able to say, okay, you need this. I'm willing to do that for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And Life, you got one more question before I close out with my last question?
No, go ahead. We wrapped. I done shot 1,000. I'm gonna save some of mine for part 2. I got some heavy. My question's gonna take more than a couple minutes. Yeah, Dan, I got some.
Because my phone is going off over here too.
Okay.
To the fellas, man. Hey, man, y'all need to talk, man. I'm here, man. I'm here. I feel y'all. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm looking at the rest of these questions, and we ain't got time right now. We gonna
let me ask you something. What is something that you need to work on for the betterment of your relationship?
Man, I need to off top, and I'm letting everybody know now, so don't be surprised. I am focusing more on my wife than my accomplishments. I'm very, me, I'm very goal driven, and I get up 3 I gotta get up 3 in the morning tomorrow, and I won't lay it down and I do about 80 things. I'm about to chop 2/3 of that list off because it's about my wife this season. That's what it's gonna be.
I know that.
That's where I've been failing. To the men like me, I think sometimes we get caught up in, or we're providing, or we got her this, and it don't even be about that. You got to sit down and talk, and don't even say nothing. Sometimes just sit there with them. Just sit there for an hour, and that's what I'm focused on. Being more present with my wife. That's what I need.
Just bring her a glass of wine and just sit with her. That's it.
Sometimes that's all we want to do.
I watched them shows. I've never made it through a movie in my life. She rubbed my back of my head or pass out. But I don't know what she watched, but I sit there with her and put points on the board for me. But I need to do more of that. That's what I'm working on. Be there with my wife.
But I think also I've known Life for so long, and I knew he would come home kicking and doing his thing without a shadow of a doubt. I think in a sense too, Life is probably trying to catch up with Life.
Yeah. I was trying to.
Part of it as well with the marriage. You know what I'm saying? You never been a husband before. This is your first real relationship too, right? So I
would say first one where I'm like, yeah, I want to be a husband. This is the first real one. My whole life.
It's a beautiful thing. Shout out to your wife, April Willis.
Absolutely.
She blew us away with her poem. She's dope, sweet, humble, and all of that great stuff. But
she got her show getting ready to come up here too. The Prison Wife Chronicles.
Yes, I seen that. I will be tuned into that. I know that's going to be interesting. I'm going to put my 2 cents in there.
Locked in already. I told her it's over. Once it's over.
Right.
But
the last. I'm going to do the last question before we close out. We're definitely going to do a part 2. I'll get with you, Alasha, on your schedule. We usually do our show, the Mo Life show, the last Tuesday of every month, but we'll probably chime you in somewhere next week because, like I said, we have 1,003 questions.
Okay.
So, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So this last question is, what is the best advice you can give couples?
And I just want to point out, I work with singles and couples, but I don't want people to think I just work with couples. But
right.
Oh, I think I said it earlier, is to never stop dating one another. And I know that sounds just so cliche and boring, but there has to be intimate. So you can be married and not have a relationship. You can be in a relationship and not be married, right? Because of what I explained earlier. So if
Mm-hmm.
you want to be in a relationship with someone, you have to cultivate that relationship. You have to nurture it. You have to be present for it, right? And if you're not present for it and making the time for it, I don't care what's going on in the world. Make that date night permanent. If it's once a quarter because you guys have busy schedules or you don't live close to one another, if it's no, we do this once a week, we have 1 hour where we just sit and just talk and be intimate with one another, do that. But do something on a regular basis. You don't always have to go out. Like I said, do the cards. It might be a night where you guys drink wine or you rub her feet or she rubs yours and y'all just talk, because that's the intimacy. You're bonding at that point, right?
I tell my son that my son shouted you out to Life. He said, "Unc Life, that's facts. Me and my wife
I
go through
feel
that as well."
yeah, Trey Sammy. We flipped it up to it.
I got you a nephew. He calling you uncle. So
Look,
I tell my son this all the time. I say, let me tell you something. Your fiance, shout out to my soon to be daughter-in-law Sierra. I said you have to make sure that you have spice in your relationship all of the time. And I went there last month, not to put his business out, but I'm putting his business out. I went there last month and for her 30th birthday and surprised her, and we took her out and everything. She danced the whole night. And I said, look at her. She needed to do this. You need to take her out dancing every few months. You need to do whatever her favorite candy bar, leave it in the bathroom. You leave after her for work, like with a post-it on the mirror. I love you. Surprise her, put a rose on her, like stuff like that in communication. You don't have to do the routine shit every day, all day. And this is his first real, hi daughter, this is his first real relationship. And I tell him all the time, I said, if you lose her, I'm gonna bust you in the head, right? But my son is a phenomenal, phenomenal man.
great,
He's
great guy.
driven,
Great man.
he's smart, he's very loyal, very loyal. He worships the ground she walk on, but it's still things that I see that he needs to work on, and you can't be so this goes for everybody, not just for my baby.
Don't feel bad, nephew. We
You,
all we all got stuff to work on.
he'll be all right. You can't be so comfortable in your relationship that you're starting to forget.
Yeah.
And again, relationship is work. And we're women, so we're 75% emotional sometimes. And we need that. We need that. We crave our girls' night, right? We crave the date night. We crave what she said. I used to look, Wayne used to massage the hell out of my feet every day, and I miss that. Like the littlest things that though, like know what your partner's happy space is.
Mm.
And it could be the simplest thing for me is just sitting by the water watching the sunset. That's my happy space. I don't know what your happy space is, Alasha, but you have to pay attention to your partner, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
You have to pay attention, even if it's the smallest things. I pay attention to, okay, you might like scary pictures all the time, or scary movies all the time, Chris. And then I'm like, okay, he's really into Freddy Krueger and all this stuff. I gotta take one for the team and sit down and watch Freddy Krueger with you. I wasn't into basketball, but I bought my man tickets for basketball and I took one for the team. Sometimes you have to do that and you have to listen to understand and not reply sometimes. And you don't have all of the answers. And if you don't have all of the answers, ask Alasha. I mean, ask Naughty, it is true. It's just like you have to process your partner.
Mhm.
You love your partner that much, you want to be with your partner that much, you have to process your partner. I'm not saying dissect them, to cut them up in pieces, to throw stuff back in their face. Process them so you can love them unconditionally and you can love them to the end of the time. Of relationships can work, but you got to want to make it work. You know what I'm saying? So that's my 2 cents in that. And we're going to have, you're getting so many like, oh, she's good and everything says. So we're definitely going to, I think between Life and I think we probably have, no exaggeration, probably about 30 questions at this point. Seriously.
Okay.
We're going to have to do a part 2. And we appreciate you tuning in, sis. You're just as smooth and beautiful as you want to be.
Listen, we gotta help our community. We have to make it work. You know, I always say to people, I'm not against any other community. I know my Black brothers and sisters, and I'm trying to help them be great. You know, we fall so far behind in different areas, and relationships is definitely one of them. We come from the struggle, and we have to learn how to stop struggling. And Mo and I are here to help you to stop struggling.
Absolutely.
How can we find you? Well, give me all the books. I see books in the background. I see what your name, the author. You got websites. You got where. Just let people know everything.
Gosh, it's so much. But yeah, you can find me at The Dating Mechanic on all social medias. You can look up Alasha Bennett. Gosh, there's so much. I'll be on Praise 104.9 starting in June every Friday. That is something that I will be doing, a relationship show. Just follow me, especially on social media. If you have Facebook, follow me there, LinkedIn, wherever. I do a show every Thursday. It's called Dating Mechanics. Just chime in on the conversation. We'd love to hear you guys. Would love to come back and answer all of your questions. I love that.
And I be calling them. You don't know this, sis, but I call them and like, oh my goodness, she's doing her pop-up questions, her drive-by questions. I love those drive-by questions. And then and I'll be reading them. Some of them be so funny, and then some of them be, you know, serious and stuff. But I love when you do that. I love when you do that.
Good. Yeah, I love to engage on my posts. Most of the time, people think that it's like I'm putting my personal feelings out there. I'm not. I'm putting the post out there, and y'all can go for what you know. And I'm gonna ask questions, like Bo said. I'm gonna ask questions. I'm gonna challenge you on that. Doesn't mean that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I'm challenging you to figure out, no, what is it that I really think about this? Am I going with the crowd, or am I really dissecting this within my own life, and what would I do in this type of situation?
Absolutely. And look, book her for sessions, couples. She can do Zoom wherever you are. If you're in another state, book her because she's really it. And sis, you and I got to get together and actually do a seminar.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Gonna do a seminar. Maybe we'll do some speed dating or something like that. But we'll get together. We'll have lunch, and we're gonna manifest that. We're gonna talk about that. Maybe I'll find a husband. I don't know. You never know. You know.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on, guys.
Absolutely.
I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for coming up here, dropping some jewels, giving some wisdom. You hit it on the head. We're not anti anybody, but we are who we are. You know what I'm saying? So naturally, we're gonna try to help who we are. You know, we're gonna help everybody. So get something from this. Spread the word. She just told you about the Dating Mechanic every Thursday. What time is the show?
I don't know it's at 8, from 8 to 9.
8 to 9 on Thursdays, Alasha?
Yep. Thursdays right on my page.
Yep, every Thursday, the Dating Mechanic. You can look it up on all social media platforms, and she'll be up here for a part 2, which we're grateful for. She's going to be on Praise 104, which is amazing. That's another great milestone, great accomplishment. I've never met anybody on a major, radio station, so hey, that's what's up. And that's it. The conversation doesn't have to end here, guys, and it won't. You know what I'm saying? Continue the conversation when this live ends, when you're done watching this. Hey, have some dialogue with your significant other or somebody.
Make it a date night tonight, talking about this.
Yeah. Any last words for this episode any jewels you want to drop, anything? Floor is yours, Miss Bennett.
Just learn to love one another. If you're a single person, please figure out what it is that you want from your life and what you want to build with a partner before you start going out and dating and being coupled with somebody.
Mhm.
For my single folk out there, I don't want you to think of all about couples or we were just focusing on couples. But single people really understand what it is that you want from a relationship, because that's going to be your foundation is just way too important.
Indeed.
Good stuff. Sister Rita Little, before we disconnect, said, get to know what their love language is, your better half. I think that's great advice as well.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate you tuning into Mo Life. And, connect with us every last Tuesday of each month. I have something Chris and I have something great coming up for next month. He doesn't know it yet, but
I never know anything.
I'll tell him after.
Shout out to everybody that propels me forward in life, because if y'all don't know, if I didn't have this, I have no idea what's going on. I'm just here.
And just keep loving one another.
Yeah. I was
Love
say the same thing.
So much. It really will. Love is a very powerful word. It's a hurtful word sometimes, but it's yet a powerful word.
Yeah.
But we thank you, sis. We thank you. We appreciate you. I will connect with you on part 2 and to get through the rest of these questions. And yeah, you the shit. Thank you.
Oh,
yes, sir. Hey, that's how we end that. And on that note, we are out. We'll see y'all next time, man. Enjoy your